Namo Buddhaya, and let me homage to the Buddha first. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate I also want to thank Archana for inviting me to give a talk in your organization, in your group. It's very pleasure to me have the chance to talk to you, especially the topic, very important topic about SammaDitthi. SammaDitthi is a big topic in Buddhism, you know that, right? So I also want to talk to you. You can unmute when I ask a question. I would love to do this with the conversation. So SammaDitthi is very big topic in Buddhism, also very main thing.
You're unmuted. Sorry, you're
Bhante,
muted.
you are unmuted. Sorry, I just wanted to make all the participants allow them to unmute themselves.
Didn't you
because I wanted to make it interactive, so they all can unmute themselves and answer Bhante. So just to let you.
Okay, you didn't hear anything that I talked so far?
Just after that point, Bhante.
Oh, you did. Okay, good. Okay. So I want to make you remind yourself what is SammaDitthi. SammaDitthi, right view, right understanding, right? That's what it literally means. Right view, right understanding. And you know what is right view and right understanding. I guess, and you know, it is about the understanding Four Noble Truths, right? That's the meaning of right SammaDitthi. Very wide, widely spread idea about SammaDitthi is understanding Four Noble Truths, understanding suffering, understanding origin of suffering, understanding end of suffering, and understanding the path to the end of suffering. This is what is called SammaDitthi. Okay. This is how SammaDitthi has explained in the Satya Vibhanga Sutta. Satya Vibhanga Sutta is the explanation about the Four Noble Truths. So in that sutta has explained SammaDitthi, understanding about Four Noble Truths. Okay, in the suttas, Buddha mentioned SammaDitthi, Micchaditthi Adhammo, SammaDitthi Dhammo. In one of sutta explaining, Micchaditthi is the Adhamma or Adharma, right? Micchaditthi, the Adharma. And SammaDitthi Dhammo. SammaDitthi is the Dharma, right? That's a big meaning. That's a big meaning. What is the Micchaditthi? Micchaditthi, wrong view. Wrong view is the whole about the Adharma. Then with Micchaditthi, no one can have the Dharma. with SammaDitthi, SammaDitthi all about the Dharma, then who have SammaDitthi and they can have Dharma. Okay. And the one of Sutta in the called Orima Sutta, Orimathira Sutta. In that Orimathira Sutta, Buddha says, Micchaditti is Micchaditti Orimantiram, SammaDitthi Parimantiram. Micchaditti is wrong view, is the near shore. Near shore, there's a two beside of the river, this side and the other side. Micchaditti is this side. SammaDitthi is the other side. Near shore and far shore. Right? So what's that mean? Who has the Micchaditti? He is not able to cross the river. Right? He is wandering near shore. He is standing only near shore. He is walking only near shore. He is jumping, sitting, running, eating, dancing, reading, writing. Whatever he does in his whole life, they all related to this side of the river, not the other side. Parimathira is called Parimangtirang, or the far shore, or the other side of the river is the nirvana. Other side of the river is the nirvana. Kshema bhumi. Sanctuary. Freedom, liberation is the other side of the river, far shore. So Micchaditti is this side, but the SammaDitthi is the other side. So with Micchaditti, no one can cross the river. With Micchaditti, no one can cross the samsara, right? With Micchaditti, no one can have nirvana, nibbana, liberation, freedom. Only SammaDitthi can cross the river. Only SammaDitthi can cross the samsara. Only SammaDitthi can attain to nirvana, nibbana, liberation, freedom. Right? Then SammaDitthi. Okay, in Buddhism, there are four types of SammaDitthi. Okay, if you have a question, please unmute yourself. Just let them to unmute themselves and to ask any question. Okay, I don't want to talk.
Yes, Bhante. Yeah, all the participants can unmute themselves if they have a question. Bhante, they can do that.
Yes. So there are four types of SammaDitthi. One is called Kammasakata SammaDitthi. Kammasakata SammaDitthi. That's the beginning of SammaDitthi. That's the first step of SammaDitthi. That's the very basic of SammaDitthi. Kammasakata SammaDitthi. I will explain it to you as the time as we have. So the second SammaDitthi, second step of the SammaDitthi is a little higher than that one, called Jhana SammaDitthi. Jhana SammaDitthi means who have practiced concentration, samadhi, who have practiced samatha meditation, who have developed samadhi, achieved jhana, then he has the little higher and highest types of SammaDitthi is called Jhana SammaDitthi. The third one Actually, not 4, we all are 5. The third one is called Vipassana SammaDitthi. The Vipassana SammaDitthi even higher than the Jhana SammaDitthi. Okay, Vipassana SammaDitthi, who practice Vipassana meditation, then he has the SammaDitthi. His SammaDitthi called Vipassana SammaDitthi. That is the path to the next step of the SammaDitthi called Magga SammaDitthi. Magga SammaDitthi. Magga, the 4 steps of the enlightenment. 4 steps of the enlightenment. Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahat. Right? So when you worship, when you keep worshiping to the Sangha, Supatipanno, Bhagavato, Savaka Sangha, and in that Gatha, what's that called? Gatha? Yes. It's called Chattari. Yadidan Chattari Purusha Yugani. Remember? Yadidan Chattari Purusha Yugani, Atta Purusha Puggala, Esa Bhagavato, Savaka Sangha, right? Yadidan Chattari means the 4 steps of the enlightenment. So Sotapan, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arihat. These 4 divided as Magga and Phala. Magga and Phala. Sotapan and Magga. That is the enter into the path. Firstly, enter into the path of the Sotapanna, then enter into the Phala, the fruit. Then 2, enter into the Sotapanna path and then enter into the fruit, Phala. Then 4, then enter into the Anagami path and Anagami Phala. Enter into the Arahat path and to the Phala. Then 8, right? In this level of the SammaDitthi, who has entered into the Magga, Sotapanna Magga, or Sakadagami Magga, or Anagami Magga, or Arahat Magga, that's called Magga SammaDitthi. And then Phala SammaDitthi. Phala SammaDitthi means attainment of Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahat. The Phala, fruit of that enlightenment, steps of enlightenment, achieve of that fruits is called Phala SammaDitthi. Okay, these are the SammaDitthi. First one, Kammasakata SammaDitthi. And the second one, Jhana SammaDitthi. I think you remember. Jhana SammaDitthi. And the third one, you can have, yes, very, very good, Vipassana SammaDitthi. And the fourth one,
Magga SammaDitthi.
Magga SammaDitthi. And the last one,
Phala
SammaDitthi. The SammaDitthi be completed by Phala SammaDitthi, right? SammaDitthi will be completed by achieving fully enlightenment, right? That's how SammaDitthi will be going to be complete, by achieving fully enlightenment, Arahantship. In the beginning, then what we have is called Kammasakata SammaDitthi. Many of our people even doesn't have this Kammasakata SammaDitthi. This Kammasakata SammaDitthi is the basic level of the SammaDitthi, a beginning level of the SammaDitthi. It is called in the suttas explaining, some people don't believe, they believe nati dinnang, nati itang, nati hutang, nati sukada dukkatanang kammanam phalang vipaku, nati ayang loko, nati paro loko, nati mata, nati pita, nati loke samana brahmana sammagata samma patipanna, sayang abinya sachikatva pavedayanti. in the suttas is explained in this Kammasakata SammaDitthi like that. It means this, then some people don't believe there are benefits of giving, and they don't believe giving is a beneficial thing. So they don't love to give. They don't like to give. They don't think giving is a beneficial thing. By giving, we can receive more, right? Then the people who believe giving is not important, and it means they don't have the very basic of SammaDitthi, right? Natidina natiyitang, the offering. There are beneficial of offering. They do not believe there are beneficial of offering, and they say the offering is nothing mean, useless, and the sacrificing is not important, not beneficial. And also, there are no result of the karma we do. There are no result of the karma. Whatever karma you do is not any result. And also, there are no this world, that world. It means there are no reincarnation. There are no re-beginning, rebirth, re-becoming. And they don't believe we will born again and again. Okay. So then people, this some people don't believe, right? Then most of people don't believe there are rebirth, re-becoming. They don't believe we will born again, right? So even a lot of Buddhists doubt about that, about rebirth. They doubt. They really doubt. Many of Buddhists doubt about it. Actually, it is okay. Because we do not know about rebirth. How can we see? Right? So then we doubt. So but when we study Buddha's teaching, then Buddha's teaching is very clear, perfect. There are no doubt about the facts of the teaching, the reasons of the teaching, the meaning of teaching. So when someone going to think about it, and they will going to understand there are something about rebirth, reincarnation. So and also we can see every day people will born and die and born, die and born. Not only humans, even animals. So the birth is happening again and again. So not only that, actually, this who don't believe this, there are some special, very special, knowledgeable, wise ones in the world exist, who has achieved the super knowledge, who has achieved the highest knowledge, who has achieved the awakening, who have become awakening, enlightened, who has become enlightened. So, and they will teach Dhamma of liberation, freedom, who has been liberated, who has been enlightened, awakened, freed, and they teach Dhamma to liberation, freedom. And there are some human beings in the world who has achieved these kind of skills by themselves. But who has no right view, who has no SammaDitthi and who is with Micchaditthi, and they do not believe humans can do that, right? The most of religion in the world don't believe human can achieve this kind of knowledge, what Buddha achieved himself, and Buddha become enlightened, awakening, and Buddha teach Dhamma to freedom and liberation, right? But the most of religious people in the world don't believe humans can do that. And they think just only God can do that. Human cannot do that, right? And they don't believe humans' power, humans' knowledge, humans' wisdom, humans' skill. They don't depends by themselves. They depends on an invisible God to free them, right? This is called Micchaditthi, wrong view. Who believe that kind of things, it means they even don't have very basic of SammaDitthi, right? You understand? So who believe and who understand, giving is good, it's beneficial. Offering, sacrificing is good, beneficial. Also, there are result of the karma and vipaka. There are vipaka of the karma, right? There are result of our actions, and whatever we do, we will experience it, we will receive it. And they believe karma. People who believe karma, and they have SammaDitthi, very basic of SammaDitthi, and they believe helping and supporting, doing good to mother and father is beneficial, is good. Also, there are existence living in this world, and after death, also there is another world. It means there is another becoming, another birth after death. And who believe that, who understand that kind of things, he has the very basic of SammaDitthi. And who understand, who think, and who have kind of light about the humans can free themselves. Buddha freed himself, and the Sariputta or Moggallana, whoever in the enlightened one in the past, and they did themselves. And then there are human beings in the world who has achieved this kind of knowledge, wisdom, and they also help others to achieve that. Then humans can do that, and who believe that, and this is who believe that, then he has this very basic level of the SammaDitthi. Then who believe in these kind of things, then he going to practice meditation, samatha, then he achieves samadhi, then he has the highest level of SammaDitthi. After samadhi, or maybe without samadhi, who practicing vipassana, then he understanding about impermanent suffering and non-self, and then he has that highest level of SammaDitthi. After that SammaDitthi, then he can achieve the marga of the path of enlightenment. Sovan, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arihat. And after Magga, and he enter into the phala, fruit, then he has the final stage of the SammaDitthi. This is how SammaDitthi we will develop, right? Right. Okay. Do you have any question so far before we go into another step?
Bhante, just a quick question on Kammastakatha SammaDitthi, Bhante.
Okay.
Is that just the first step to starting to get understanding what SammaDitthi is? Meaning you are just trying to believe as to what Buddha taught, just trying to start your path, or your journey towards the path on Dhamma. Is that where you would say Kammasa Katha Sammaditthi is, that is the stage? May not be at Dhyan level yet, may not be at Vipassana, way far from Magga or Phala.
Yeah. With that Kammasakata Sammaditthi, it's that type of right view is help to achieve jhana or practice jhana. And also there's a misunderstanding about Sammaditthi. Some people believe who does not have Sammaditthi, they cannot go heaven. They cannot born in heaven. That's not right. Without Sammaditthi, people can born in heaven. Right? There's some people believe who doesn't have Sammaditthi and he not able to go to heaven. He can go to heaven. He can born heaven. It means who not believe this kind of giving is beneficial, and who doesn't believe there are birth after death, but he keep doing good things and he helping supporting others, helping parents, caring parents, and he giving charity, a lot of generosity. He donate many things. So, but he doesn't believe giving is good, or even he doesn't believe after the birth after death. But he keep doing good things. He don't kill not steal. But he living very well. But he doesn't believe that kind of any things. Then he can born in heaven after death. It depends his action, right? You know karma, right? Karma. Then he will get the vipaka result according to his karma, not what he believes. Right? So he can born in heaven, but he not able to achieve the he not able to achieve enlightenment or awakening, right? To achieve that awakening or enlightenment, and he has to practice vipassana, right? So that's the basic level of the Sammaditthi, Kammasakata Sammaditthi, and helps to achieve that enlightenment. But without that Kammasakata Sammaditthi, someone can born in heaven. Born in heaven depends how do you act, whatever you do, not whatever you believe. So you have to make it clear, right? So don't criticize people who doesn't believe rebirth, who doesn't believe that kind. We see a lot of atheist people in America. Many people don't believe any kind of religious facts, religious teachings, and they don't follow. They don't believe the reincarnation. But they live very well. They do very well. They're generous. They're very kind. They are very kind. They support and help others. But they are honest. People who are born with religious things are very bad. You know that. The people who is very religious so bad. They are not honest. They are very cunning. They are very selfish. They are very pride. They are criticizing others. They hate others. They do all the bad stuff. The people who is very religious. Religious doesn't mean anything, right? It just depends on action. So people who doesn't believe religious things, but they live very well. They don't have jealous. They don't hate others. They don't criticize. They do good. So then you have to make clear yourself. Believing religious things is not about the SammaDitthi, okay? So now you know this the basic of SammaDitthi is Kammasakata SammaDitthi is the understanding human beings can get free themselves. Right? This is the very basic level of SammaDitthi. Human beings can develop themselves, their wisdom. Human beings can get freed by themselves. This is the very basic level of SammaDitthi. But people who does not believe that, and they don't have this SammaDitthi, it means they not going to have any higher level of SammaDitthi, because they believe someone else can do that. They're waiting for someone else free them. So there's most of religious people in the world unfortunately do not have this type of SammaDitthi. Someone asking how to reach the level of Sotapanna Magga SammaDitthi. Yeah, to achieve that Sotapanna Magga SammaDitthi, then he definitely have to practice vipassana. He have to understand about impermanent, the temporary nature. Everything is temporary, impermanent. Everything is subject to change, and everything exists temporary, will change. So there are not anything permanent and eternally exist. Everything is impermanent and temporary. So also he understands everything is unsatisfactory. Everything is suffering. Everything is unsatisfactory. Whatever we do for living, whatever we live, however we live, but this life is not satisfaction. So there are no satisfaction in this in this world, living in this world. So we do have a type of satisfaction, but not a fully satisfaction. So when someone understands this, we do not have satisfaction because it is impermanent and temporary, then also it's caused to suffering and an unsatisfactoriness. And also when he understands this kind of thing, and also when he understands there are no self, it means there are no soul. There are no eternal entity in the human realm, human beings. If you who believe soul and permanent entity of the existence, like a soul, Atma, like Atman, who believe that, and then who understand there are no Atman. There are no Atman because everything is impermanent, arising and passing away. So we have a consciousness. The consciousness, not a soul. Consciousness is not a soul. Consciousness is not the Atman. Consciousness is the arise because of reason, and it's arising and passing away, arising and disappearing. This consciousness exists because we craving, we clinging, we grasping, we attached. So consciousness is going to exist. But that consciousness is going to exist, arising and passing away, arising and passing away. In a second, it's born and die many times. So, but this is existence is happening because we clinging and grasping, because of we craving. So when someone understands this kind of thing, then he will enter into Sotapanna. Sotapanna is the stream. That's literally mean Sota Apanna, entering to the stream. Sota means the stream. Stream is the water is flowing into the down. Then who have understanding impermanent, suffering and non-self, then he will enter into the first level of the enlightenment. It's called enter into the stream. This is how we enter into the Sotapanna, making the clear understanding about impermanent, suffering and non-self. Okay, I think that's the answer for that question. So how could we enter into the Sotapanna Magga? Then we have to meditate. You have to meditate, and you have to think always everything is impermanent, temporary and suffering. Dukkha, dukkha and dukkha and dukkha. Everything is dukkha. Dukkha. When you understand everything is impermanent and dukkha, anicca and dukkha, anicca and dukkha, everything is anicca, not permanent, and also dukkha. Then when you meditate on it, when we keep meditating, and when we keep meditating, that understanding about this nature is become wider and wider and clear, and it's keep us awakening, and it's taking us into the stream of the enlightenment. Okay. So let me say something. And Buddha also mentioned in the Anguttara Nikaya, in the book of 2, Dveme bhikkhave paccaya SammaDitthi upadaya. There are two factors, two reasons, two things giving a rise to SammaDitthi. And also, Dveme bhikkhave paccaya micchaditthya upadaya. There are two things give a rise to micchaditthi, wrong view. Okay, what are the two things to give a rise to micchaditthi, wrong view? Paratocha goso, ayonisocha manasikaro. Okay, write down if you want. There are two things give a rise to micchaditthi. What is first? Paratocha goso, listening to others. Now you are listening to me, right? This is called parato gosa. Listening to others, or watching others, or reading books. Whatever knowledge we get from out, the knowledge we get from outside, this is called paratocha goso. In the ancient time, the people learned by hearing, listening. That's why we have a lot of stories. Storytellers, we had a lot of storytellers in the ancient time. People, we didn't have books and pens to write down. Very common, it's very rare to have that. Then people learn by hearing. There are many people, the storytellers. So that's called paratocha goso. People get knowledge by listening. All right. So for this listening and learning from outside give rise to micchaditthi in one reason. It is because called ayonisocha manasikaro. They're listening, but they do not consider wisely. They do not consider wisely, just only listening and believe, and they don't consider it wisely. Not appropriate attention, not appropriate thinking, not appropriate considering. Just whatever, listen and believe. These two things give rise to micchaditthi, wrong view. Okay. Paratocha goso, ayonisocha manasikaro. Learning from others and not wisely consider. Whatever listening and they just believe, they take. That's the most of people in the world is this type of people. And whatever they're listening and they just believe. Right? These are the two reasons to give rise to micchaditthi, wrong view. Listening and learning from others, even reading books or listening teachings, like now you listening to me and you listening to other teachers, and whatever you listen, you believe. If you just believe, this is your micchaditthi. Whatever you listening, and you have to think about it wisely. You have to consider it wisely. You have to use your intuition to understand it yourself. If you are a mere believer, that's your micchaditthi. In Buddhism, no, doesn't work that. Buddhism not appreciate that. Well, if you are just a believer, and Buddhism don't appreciate that. You can be just a believer. You have to think, wisely think. That's called That's the two reasons. And Buddha said, Dveme bhikkhave paccaya SammaDitthhiya uppadaya. Yonisocha paratocha goso, yonisocha manasikaro. Monks, there are two things to give rise to right understanding, right view, or SammaDitthi. What's the first? Learning from outside, listening to others, or reading books. Whatever knowledge you get from outside, and then you think about it wisely. You consider it wisely. And you consider it wisely, and you pay appropriate attention, whatever you learn, whatever you're listening, whatever you're reading, and then you're going to think about yourself. You use your intuition to understand it. And this is give rise to SammaDitthi. Right? In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha said that. Right? So that's how we learn, that's how we get the knowledge. Whoever nowadays attain to enlightenment, and they first had the paratocha goso, learning from outside. They learn from the master, they learn from the master, they're listening to master, or they read books, even they read Tripitaka. They read Tripitaka books. Suttas, they read suttas, that's called paratocha gosa. The knowledge get from the books, from the outside. But whatever knowledge they get in, and they use their wisdom, panya, they use their panya to make it clear, or make it right or wrong. Right? This is one of very, very, very important thing. And in the Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha, Anguttara Nikaya, in the book of first, and Buddha said, Naham bhikkhave ekadhamman samanupassami. Naham bhikkhave anyang ekadhamman pi samanupassami. Anuppannava SammaDitthi uppadaya uppannava SammaDitthi pavaddati. Yataidam bhikkhave yonisocha manasikaro. Yoniso bhikkhave manasikaro to anuppannava SammaDitthi uppajjati uppannava SammaDitthi pavaddati. And Buddha said, Buddha never ever have seen only one thing, what gives rise to SammaDitthi. There are only one thing give rise to SammaDitthi. Whatever SammaDitthi never have arisen yet, and this thing give arise to that SammaDitthi, whatever never have arisen. And whatever SammaDitthi have arisen, and it keep developing it, keep growing it, make it keep perfect in it. What is that only one thing? Yonisocha manasikaro. Wise consideration. Appropriate attention, appropriate thinking, appropriate considering, appropriate thinking, you know. And there are several types of knowledge, three types of knowledge called Sutame Jnana and Chintame Jnana and the Bhavaname Jnana, right? In the Anguttara Nikaya Tikkanipata, and Buddha has mentioned there are three knowledge we can have, we have. First one called Sutame Jnana. That's the knowledge we have by learning from out. Right? Then you have a Sutame Jnana. I have a Sutame Jnana. I read Tripitaka. Then I have a Sutame Jnana. You're listening to me. Then you have a Sutame Jnana. Sutta means listening, right? Then you have a knowledge by listening. You listening to many teachers. Then you have that type of knowledge called, what is called that? That's called Sutame Jnana. Knowledge have reached by the listening or reading. That's the first basic knowledge. The most of people even doesn't have Sutta Jnana much because they don't read enough, they don't listening enough. So who have reading and listening, they have the very basic knowledge, that's called Sutta Jnana. The second knowledge is even higher. That's called Chinta Jnana. Whatever they learn and listening and they think about it. They're thinking and they're thinking and they're thinking. And that's called Chintamajnana. That thinking is developing understanding. That thinking keep growing understanding. That thinking is keep making clear whatever they have learned. Right? Just think about this scientist today. I think Isaac Newton, there's a story, one apple fell into head or maybe fell into somewhere, but he think about it, right? Then he find out about the gratification. No, I'm sorry, not gratification, what's that called? The theory of what's that?
Gravity.
Yeah, gravity, the theory of gravity. That called Chintamajnana. He think about it. He just saw an apple fell down. Why apple fell down into the earth? Why it's not going up? Why he's come down? Then he develops his understanding about the gravity, and he made a huge theory. Even today, people use that kind of theory to figure out, to find out the law of the nature, the law of the earth, law of the solar system, law of the whole universe, right? So then Albert Einstein, they are the Albert Einstein. I think he found the relativity, right? Theory of the relativity. He's the person who found that theory of the relativity. So then he kept thinking about that, right? Whatever you have heard, and he saw the time. He figured out the time of the different with traveling, with moving, the time, the move when we not moving, and time become different when we move. So that's he find out relativity theory. So they are the thinkers. They develop the thinking skill, and they found the super kind of highest knowledge. It's called Chintamajnana. Knowledge come through the thinking. Most of scientists even today, they have developed the computers. Now we are talking and we see each other, right? We see each other. This is the knowledge of thinking, right? They imagine it about it first. In the Buddha's time, we had the same thing. They can conversation. They had a conversation each other by thinking each other in the Buddha's time. That's a sutta. Then when the Sariputta visited to Moggallana, and then Sariputta asked, Bhante, Moggallana, you are amazing today. You look very happy. Your appearance is very pleasant. What happened? Buddha visited to you or you visited to Buddha? Then Moggallana said, Buddha didn't visit to me. I either did not visit to Buddha. Then why you are so happy and pleasant? Your appearance is different. And then he said, I had a conversation with the Buddha, mind to mind. In that sutta, it's explaining, it's called, what's that called? Telepathy, kind of telepathy, right? Telepathy. In the Buddha's time, that's how could they got that, have that knowledge? How could they got that knowledge? By bhavana, right? By meditation. That's the level called, knowledge called bhavanamajnana. Okay, bhavanamajnana. First one is a sutta-mejnana, the knowledge by learning and listening. That is called paratocha gosu, knowledge get from the outside. Second is the chinta-mejnana, the think about it. Right? The third level of the knowledge called bhavana-mejnana, the knowledge achieved from the bhavana meditation. And Buddha has that, and the Arahant said they can read others' mind, they can see previous lives, right? They can fly in the sky, they can sink in the earth, they can go through the walls. That's the super kind of knowledge by achieved from the bhavana jnana. And what we have, sutta jnana, and knowledge by learning and listening from our others. And if you want to develop your SammaDitthi, you have to develop your thinking pattern, your thinking skill. You have any questions so far before we okay, I have a little more time. Let me give you before we go into another step of this SammaDitthi, let me know if you have any question. There's a question asking about the Sotapanna Phala. What are the benefits of Sotapanna Magga? There are many benefits of becoming Sotapanna Phala. What are the benefits of the Sotapanna Magga? Actually, you have to understand this. Sotapanna Magga and Phala, it's not a big gap with that. Between Sotapanna Magga and Sotapanna Phala, there are no big gap according to explanation. The same thing, who have achieved Sotapanna Magga, he will definitely achieve Sotapanna Phala. It is kind of Niyati Dhamma. It's a Niyati Dhamma. It's an absolute thing, definite thing. Who have achieved Sotapanna Magga, and he definitely achieved Sotapanna Phala. So they have the same thing. Whatever benefits who have the Sotapanna Phala, and he definitely have that benefits when he achieved the Sotapanna Magga or Marga. There are no big difference between that. The same thing, okay? Sotapanna Magga and Phala is the same thing. Enter into the path and enter into the fruit. Okay, you don't have any question? Then let's go to another step of the SammaDitthi. Is this boring to you?
No, Bhante. It's always pleasure to hear about Dhamma. So nothing is boring here.
Okay.
SammaDitthi is the very vast topic.
Yeah.
Days together on SammaDitthi.
Yeah, I love to have a conversation with you. Yeah. Yes, it's make yeah. SammaDitthi is a big thing, big topic. Okay, let me finish. Do you know this SammaDitthi Sutta? There's SammaDitthi Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. Bhante Sariputta teaching about the SammaDitthi, right? In that SammaDitthi Sutta, there are 14 type of SammaDitthi, right? 14th type of SammaDitthi in the SammaDitthi Sutta. Okay, let's go to that. Understand that. In the beginning, Sariputta says, Sammaditthi also uchyati. Kittavatanko also Sammaditthi hoti. The monks, the people say Sammaditthi. What is the Sammaditthi? How Sammaditthi arise? Aveccha prasadena samanagato agato iman saddhammanti. Ujugata ditti, whose view is become very straightforward. How once SammaDitthi become straightforward and firm, stable, and aveccha prasadena samanagato agato iman saddhamma. How SammaDitthi is become clear and perfect and entering into this Dhamma, Okay. Then the Sariputta says, Yatoko also akusalancha pajanati, akusala moolancha pajanati, kusalancha pajanati, kusala moolancha pajanati. Ettavataku also Aryasavako SammaDitthi hoti. Monks, who has the knowledge about the akusala, unwholesome, and who has the knowledge about the root, akusala moola, who know the akusala moola, who knows the akusala, who knows the akusala moola, unwholesome and roots of unwholesome, right? And also who knows the kusala and who knows the kusala moola, and who knows the wholesome and who knows the roots of the wholesome. By having this knowledge, he has the SammaDitthi. Ettavataku also Aryasavako SammaDitthi hoti. By this understanding, he has SammaDitthi. Ujugatasa-ditti, his view becomes straightforward and firm, stable, and perfect. And also, aveccha pasadena agato iman saddhamma, and he enter into this Dhamma having a clear understanding. And this is the first thing in the SammaDitthi Sutta explaining how could we have a SammaDitthi. We have to understand akusala and akusala moola, kusala and kusala moola, right? There are 10 kinds of akusala, right? You know, 10 akusala. Dasa akusala in Pali, dasa akusala, and akusala moola. And you know that. I believe you know that. So it's a killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and telling lies, and the slandering, right? And the harsh speech and the ideal chattering, gossips, and also covetousness, greed. That's the greed, hate, covetousness, and the grudge, and the delusion. So this is called dasa akusala. Akusala moola is the 3 type of akusala moola: lobha, dosa, moha. Lobha, greed; dosa, hate, and delusion. Right? That's akusala moola. The opposite of to this is called kusala and kusala moola. And who has this type of knowledge, and then he has the first level of SammaDitthi. Right? There are variety of SammaDitthi, right? There's a variety of SammaDitthi. In the second type of SammaDitthi, Sariputta explaining who knows the 4 type of food, 4 type of ahara, right? It's called Kabalinkara ahara, Passahara, Manosanchetana Vijnana, right? Who has that type of knowledge about this type of food, nutritions, and then he know the arise of this ahara, and he know the cessation, end of this ahara, and he know the path to end of this ahara. This is how he can get that type of SammaDitthi. Read that SammaDitthi Sutta. It's have a more explanation, right? And in the third, in that SammaDitthi Sutta explaining who understand the Four Noble Truths, who understand suffering, who understand dukkha and origin of dukkha and cessation of dukkha, and make the end of the path to the end of dukkha. And that's called Four Noble Truths, Chaturarya Satya. And who has that type of knowledge, then he has that type of SammaDitthi. And the rest of sutta explaining the understanding old and the death, jara marana. I think you're familiar with these Pali terms, right? Jara and marana, old, growing old, and death. And who has understanding this jara and death, jara and marana, and origin of jara and marana, then the cessation of jara and marana, and the making the end of the path to the end of Jara Marana. Who has that kind of knowledge, then he has that type of SammaDitthi. Then he understanding why this Jara Marana is happening. Anyone know why this Jara Marana is happening? Jara Marana is happening because of what?
Clinging.
Birth, okay?
Birth.
Jara.
Yeah, birth. Jara Marana, we grow old because of birth, right? Then we die because of birth. This birth, then who understands birth, origin of birth, cessation of birth, and the path to the end of birth, right? That's then who has that kind of understanding. And then in that sutta explaining, he Raganusayam Pativinodetvam Avijjanusayam. Let me see, this is my Pali. So in that sutta, the Sariputta explained, and then he going to get rid of the patiga, grudge and hate, and also raga, attachment, and he going to remove them all things. And the asmiti mananusayam pativinodetva, and he going to get rid of the idea about I, my, and myself, and he going to lose that. He going to lose that called I, my, and myself. Asmiti mananusayam pativinodetva, and dukkha santakaru, and he going to make the end of suffering in this very life. That's how that SammaDitthi Sutta explaining. Okay, this is another step. Now think about it. Another step, and the Sariputta, when Sariputta explaining, now he's going to consider why birth happening, why birth happen again and again. And if you're familiar with Paticca Samuppada, if you're familiar with dependent origination, Paticca Samuppada, and you know why birth happening. Birth happening, it is because existence, right? Existence. Bhava. We exist, then birth. Then who going to understand about the existence, bhava, right? Why bhava is happening? Origin of bhava, cessation of bhava, the path to the end of bhava. Who has that kind of knowledge? Then he has SammaDitthi. And we have a bhava. Why we have bhava? Because we have a clinging, right? Clinging. So in that way, it's we clinging because of craving, right? We craving because we feeling. We feel because of we have a contact. We have contact because of 6 sense bases. We have 6 sense bases because of we have a form and name and form, nama rupa. And we have a nama rupa because of consciousness, right? Vijnana. We have vijnana, consciousness, because of ignorance, the volitional formation, sankhara, right? We have sankhara because of ignorance, right? And then the Sariputta explaining, in understanding these kind of things, then he have a right understanding, SammaDitthi. Okay, now I'm going to make the end of this session by explaining one more sutta. This is called Kacchanagotta Sutta. Actually, this is very profound one, very deep one, very profound one. But I want to make it clear to you to have this understanding about this SammaDitthi. The Kacchanagotta is the bhikkhu, and he comes to Buddha, and he asks Buddha, SammaDitthi Bhante SammaDitthi uchati. SammaDitthi Bhante uchati kittavatanukko Bhante SammaDitthi hoti. Bhante, everybody says SammaDitthi and SammaDitthi. How someone have SammaDitthi? How someone can have SammaDitthi? How someone achieve, reach to that SammaDitthi? Then his question is very clear. Bhante, what is the SammaDitthi? And how could we have SammaDitthi? Then Buddha make that's a brief sutta, but very profound. Then Buddha said that Dve nisito kwayam kachana loko yebuyena Attitancheva nattitanche. Kachana, in this whole world, holding duality. The whole world belongs to duality. What's the whole world say? They say yes. If not, and they say no. Yes or no. They stand on the side of yes. If not, they stand on the side of no. Attitancheva nattitanche. And they believe existence or they do not believe existence. Right? And this is the duality. This entire world stand one of this side. Right? And Buddha said, Due nisitang kwayang kachana loko yebuyen. Mostly this whole world, kachana, is a stand by one side. What is this one side? Yes or no. One side is yes and one side or no. This is the whole world say. They want a very brief answer, the short answer, yes or no, yes or no. But this doesn't work for everything. And Buddha's path is not a yes or no. You know what is Buddha's path? Buddha's path, Buddha's path, or Buddha's teaching, or Buddha's teaching is not yes or no. Buddha's teaching is the middle, right? In the middle. That's why Buddha said in the sutta, this whole world allowed to stand by one side, yes or no. And Buddha also said, Loka samudayam ko kachane atabhutan sammapanyaya pasuto yaloke natita sana hoti. Kachan, whoever see the arise of the world, and they believe world is exist because they can see arise of the world, right? Then who see the arising of the world and they do not believe nothing, and they believe yes, it is. And also Buddha said, Loka nirodham ko kachane atabhutan sammapanyaya pasuto yaloke nat attita sana hoti. And then some people believe, and some people see the end of the world, cessation of the world, the perishing of the world, destroying of the world, disappearing of the world. When they see the perishing of the world, and they do not believe existence, and because they can see the destroying, and they see clearly the destruction, then they don't believe existence anymore. Right? And then Buddha said, Upayupadana binives vinibandhu kwayam kachan loko yebuyen. Kachan, the whole world depends. Upayupadana chetaso abhinivesa anusayam. Engagement, attachment, clinging. This everything depends on engagement, attachment, and clinging. This whole world exists because of engagement, attachment, and clinging. And then Buddha said, Tanchupa upayupadana abhinivesa vinibandhu ajosayati tittati. Then the whole world exists because of they consider, they engage, they attach, and they clinging. Then this is how it exists. And then Buddha said, Dukkhameva uppajjamanam uppajjati, dukkham nirujjamana nirujjati. When panchayam na kankati, na vichikichati, na aparapachya jnanamevas etta hoti, ettavatako kachana SammaDitthi hoti. The kachana, SammaDitthi, arise when someone understands whatever arises, it is suffering. And whatever ceases, it is suffering. Whatever arising is suffering. Whatever ceasing is suffering. nothing else. Only suffering, arising and ceasing. This is the first knowledge of dukkha, right? Four Noble Truths, dukkha. Who has this knowledge clearly, without no doubt, no kankati, no vichikichati, no doubt, no hesitating, because he has a clear understanding about whatever arising is suffering, whatever ceasing is suffering. So only suffering, nothing else. Once Brahmin came to Buddha and asked where the world located, Katta loko patitu, then Buddha said dukkhe loko patitu, the whole world is established on the suffering. The suffering is the big topic. The people hate to hear that sound. People don't want to listen to that kind of sounds because they have too much attachment to the happiness, because they have too much strong craving. So they hate to that kind of suffering. But whatever the people who has the right understanding, and they understand whatever arises, only suffering arises. Whatever cease, only suffering cease. And who has the clear understanding about this, this is how he has the right understanding. And also Buddha emphasized sabbang attitiko kaccan ayame kuantu, whoever believe existence, and this is the one of wrong view. And sabbang nattiti and dutiyo antu, whoever believe none exist, not exist, this is the another extreme, another wrong view. But Buddha said, ete ko kaccan ubo ante anupagama majjena tathagato dhamman deseti. Buddha, myself, not stand only one side. I'm not belong to one of extreme. I stand by in the middle. I always stand by in the middle. My teaching begin from the middle, not from the end. One of end, one of extreme. Buddha's teaching is a Majjhima Patipada. And Buddha said, ete ko kaccan ubo ante anupagama. I'm not entering into one of side. I just begin from the Majjen Tathagato Dhamman Deseti, Avidya Pachya Sankhara. The volitional formation, sanskara, arise because of ignorance. When we have the volitional formation, sanskara, then consciousness is going to be. Whatever people say soul or Atman, that is the consciousness. It is going to exist. It is going to be because of the sanskara. Though when that consciousness is not a permanent entity, that consciousness exists because of the sanskara. Sanskara exists because of the ignorance. When we do not have ignorance, then we don't produce any sanskara. When we do not produce any sanskara, then there are no nutrition to consciousness. No sanskara, no consciousness. Consciousness exists because of the sanskara. Sanskara is the kusala or akusala, right? Sanskara is the maybe bread, right? Sanskara may be contact. Sanskara may be version of formation or consciousness. This kind of sanskara give rise to consciousness. Then consciousness is going to exist. When consciousness exists, then it's produce name and form, nama rupa. When the nama rupa is entered into the existence, then it's give rise to six sense bases, right? Understanding this dependent origination is the SammaDitthi. You have to have a clear understanding what is SammaDitthi. SammaDitthi is understanding dependent origination. SammaDitthi is understanding paticca samuppada. When we have a six sense basis, we have a contact. When we have a contact, we feel. When we feel, we craving. When we crave, we grasping. When we grasp, we exist. When we exist, birth arise. When we birth, then old age and death, sorrow and lamentation, despair and displeasure, all mass of suffering arise. When someone understands this, he has the SammaDitthi. And in this Kacchana Gotta Suddha, Kacchanagotta Sutta. And Buddha said to Kacchanagotta, the Kacchanagotta's question is, what is SammaDitthi? And Buddha said, SammaDitthi is standing in by middle, not believing there are soul or no soul. There are existence or non-existence. Yes or no. But everything is depends, right? In Buddha's teaching, it's a dependent origination. Everything is depends. Depend, whatever is reasonable. It must mean sati idang hoti. When this exists, this come to be. It must mean asati idang na hoti. When this not exists, this is not going to be. Imas uppada idang uppajati, arise in this arise. Imas nirodha idang nirujjati, cease in this going to be cease. So, and then Buddha's teaching is a paticcasamuppada. So, world is exist because of reason. When the reason is ceased, the world going to cease. This earth exists because it's a reason. That's the reason is going to disappear. This earth going to disappear. Sun exists because of reasons. That reason is going to be disappear. When going to disappear, then sun going to be disappeared. This is the paticcasamuppada. This is the SammaDitthi. There are no eternal or non-eternal. It is not the reason. There are soul or no soul. This is not the reason. Believing it one of extreme is not SammaDitthi. Buddha's teaching is the middle. So, sentient being exist, human being exist, animal being exist, gods, deities exist, ghosts exist, petas exist. It is because of paticcasamuppada. In the middle path. So understanding middle path. What's the middle path? It could be begin from the ignorance, avidya, or it could be begin from the tanha. It could be begin from the birth. It could be begin from anywhere of this circle, right? Some paticcasamuppada is a circle. You can begin from anywhere. You can break it from anywhere, right? So understanding this is called SammaDitthi. Is that clear to you? Is that enough for SammaDitthi?
Enough, I don't know, Bhante, but we understand what you are saying.
Oh my goodness, I took too long. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It is 10:53 now. Oh, let me end up the session. Okay, this is the end of the session. Thank you for listening. I'm sorry. Okay. How could we end up the session?
Bhante, we can do the Anumodan, Bhante, Punya Anumodan.
Okay.
But we can allow people to ask questions if they have anything. Do you have time, Bhante? Maybe we can take Q&A for 10 minutes. We allowed them to unmute themselves, but a lot of people didn't.
Okay. Let me see. Okay.
So yeah, the session is open for question and answer. If you didn't feel like asking or breaking the flow Bhante had, please ask your question now. Bhante is here to answer. Please raise your hand.
No question?
No questions, Bhante.
Okay, let me then transfer merits. So then I come to conclusion. Maybe about SammaDitthi you do not have any idea. If not, maybe it is very clear to you and you have already it. Then both are okay. So if you do not have still yet about what is SammaDitthi, idea about what is SammaDitthi, keep listening and reading. Paratocha goso, listening, they get the knowledge from the outside, and also make sure to use your thinking. Right thinking, way of right thinking, right? Right thinking, wisely thinking. So this is how SammaDitthi arises, right? You remember, So, okay. By listening Dhamma, we learned today Dhamma, we discussed today Dhamma. So, by listening Dhamma, Dhamma Desana, listening to Dhamma Desana is a good meritorious karma. So, you have achieved good meritorious karma. We're going to share these good merits with our departed ones, our ancestors who passed away, and ghosts and deities, and all sentient beings who wishing to share these merits. May they all share these merits. By sharing these merits, may they all have a happy, good destination. By the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, by the power of these merits, and you may live happily, peacefully, without any afflictions. And may the teaching of the Buddha come clear to you by these merits. Actually, these merits, that's listening Dhamma Desana. Listening Dhamma Desana is a good meritorious action, because this listening, by listening, we achieve enlightenment. And the monks, Buddha's time, came to listen to Buddha. They listened to Buddha and they attained to enlightenment, because they listen and they wisely consider. They pay their proper intention to understand what does that mean. So then they had all have that SammaDitthi, Magga SammaDitthi, Phala SammaDitthi. So by listening these teachings and these merits give you that type of SammaDitthi. You may have a right view, SammaDitthi, good the SammaDitthi. Finally, may we all be able to attain to enlightenment, awakening, Nibbana, Nirvana. Akasatta Chibummatta Deva Naga Mahidika Punyantang Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Sasanang Chirang Rakkantu Desanang Chirang Rakkantu Mang Parang Sabbi Vivajjantu Sabbarugo Vinasatu Mate Bhavatmantarayo Sukhi Digayuko Bhava Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Rakkantu Sabba Devata Sabba Buddhan Bhavena Sabba Dhamman Bhavena Sabba Sanghan Bhavena Sadaswati Bhavantu Te Abhivadena Silisa Nityang Vaddhavachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balang Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevache Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samijjatu. Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, Bhante. Much merits to you, Bhante, for sharing the Dhamma with us today. We are grateful for your time. This was Bhante Subodh from the Temple of Enlightenment, New York, USA. And our topic today was SammaDitthi. Bhante really tried to explain the SammaDitthi with multiple suttas, SammaDitthi Sutta and Kachana Gota Sutta, and a lot of explanation in between, and he allowed us to ask questions too. Much merits to you, Bhante. We are grateful for your time. We are grateful for the Dhamma that you are sharing with us. I just wanted Bhante, please go ahead.
No. Thank you, Pano. Thank you for listening. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted the people to know that next week we will have Dr. Fee Kyo. So she's gonna be our speaker next week, and for listening to the Dhamma topics from various speakers, please join the WhatsApp group that I have shared the links in there, and you will get a constant notification. We are recording these sessions on YouTube Live. You can go ahead and revisit and look at the explanation again if you want to. Go on to the YouTube Live channel and look at the videos there too. So with that, I again wanted to thank Bhante Subodh. I wanted to thank Archana Tai for inviting Bhante today.
Thank you, Archana. Yeah, my thanks go to Archana for inviting me. Thank you for all of you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
So much.
Okay.
Yeah, so until we meet again next week, same time, we'll have Dr. Phi Kyo next week. So we are eager to hear her as well. So we'll meet again. Until then, Namo Buddhaya to all of us.
Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
So then I leave.
Yes, Bhante. Thank you. Do I have your permission to stop the session, Bhante?
Yeah, yes.